Ladies and gentlemen, we all grow up with this fairy tale idea someone will walk into our lives, hold our hand, and promise undying loyalty forever. But let's be real, forever is a long time, and people are unpredictable. We talk about loyalty like it's this absolute unbreakable contract, but life isn't a contract. It's a journey, and people change, and when they do, their loyalty shifts too. It's not about them being bad, it's about them being human. The concept of absolute loyalty is often portrayed as the ultimate goal in relationships, a symbol of unwavering trust, dedication, and support. We're taught to believe that loyalty should be unconditional, a bond so strong that it will stand the test of time, no matter the circumstances. But here's a reality that many are reluctant to accept. Loyalty in its absolute form is an illusion. It's not that people can't be loyal, but human nature is fluid, and so are the dynamics of every relationship. The idea that loyalty can exist without any cracks or shifts is an oversimplification of how we as individuals evolve over time. When we place this expectation on others, we set ourselves up for disappointment because we forget one fundamental truth: change is inevitable. People are not static beings. As much as we want things to stay the same, we grow, we experience, and we learn. Our values, beliefs, and desires shift with every new experience and every challenge that we face. To expect someone to remain loyal without change is essentially asking them to stay the same person they were when you first met, which is an unrealistic request. The very idea of being human is to adapt, evolve, and in many cases reevaluate who we are and what we stand for. Loyalty, as it is often imagined, doesn't account for this constant growth. It is based on a romanticized view that somehow, if two people are loyal to each other, nothing can ever come between them. But life is not a fairy tale. It's filled with complexities, struggles, and opportunities for growth that may not always align with the loyalty we once pledged. Imagine two individuals who at one point in time share a deep bond. Over the years, one of them grows, seeks new perspectives, and perhaps begins to change their path in life. The other might feel left behind, betrayed, or abandoned because they've held on to the idea that loyalty means unchanging support. But the reality is that this person is simply on a different journey now. It's crucial to understand that loyalty shouldn't be measured by how someone stays the same in a relationship, but rather by how they engage with each other during times of change. True loyalty is not about being stuck in one place, nor is it about being committed to an image of a partner that no longer fits. It's about navigating the complexities together, supporting one another's growth, and respecting the journey each person is on. In fact, genuine loyalty should encourage growth rather than stifle it. It should foster an environment where both individuals are free to evolve, knowing that their connection remains rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and trust. When we hold on to the illusion of absolute loyalty, we also risk not giving ourselves permission to change. We fear that if we change, we'll lose the loyalty of those we care about, that we will be abandoned if we are no longer the person we once were. But it's crucial to understand that true loyalty isn't about holding someone to a past version of themselves. It's about accepting the person they are becoming and the person you are becoming. Loyalty becomes a two-way street when both people allow each other to grow and change while still honoring the relationship. Loyalty often involves making difficult choices, especially when faced with values that no longer align. It's a form of respect to both yourself and the other person, to acknowledge when things aren't working, when the dynamic has shifted, or when paths need to diverge. Holding on to the illusion of loyalty can prevent us from seeing that sometimes letting go is the most loyal thing you can do for both yourself and the other person. Loyalty isn't about maintaining a relationship at all costs. It's about respecting the relationship enough to let it go when it no longer serves the growth and well-being. In essence, absolute loyalty is an impossible standard to live up to, and when we expect it from others, we might be setting ourselves up for disappointment and heartache. Loyalty doesn't mean adhering to a fixed set of promises or guarantees. It means embracing the fluidity of relationships and supporting each other through the inevitable changes that life brings. It's time to let go of the illusion that loyalty is about never changing and start focusing on what it really means, standing by each other through evolution, not perfection. In the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment, many of us have been conditioned to seek validation from others. We look for approval, admiration, and recognition as external markers of our worth, whether it's from our families, friends, colleagues, or even strangers on social media. There's a deep-seated belief that we must be affirmed by others in order to feel good about ourselves. But the truth is, external validation is fleeting and unreliable. It's time we shift our focus from looking outward to turning inward, embracing the power of self-love and understanding that our worth doesn't come from anyone else's approval. It comes from within. Self-love is not just a buzzword or a trendy concept. It's a radical practice that goes against the grain of societal norms that often dictate how we should behave, look, or feel in order to be accepted. From a young age, we're taught that approval from others is the ultimate goal, and that only by meeting certain expectations can we truly be happy. But what happens when that external validation fades? What happens when we don't receive the recognition or admiration we feel we deserve? The truth is, our sense of self-worth can become fragile, dependent on factors outside of our control. Self-love, on the other hand, is a foundation that doesn't crumble when external sources of validation are absent or inconsistent. It's about cultivating a relationship with yourself that is rooted in respect, kindness, and acceptance. No matter the circumstances or what others may think of you, when you practice self-love, you begin to realize that you are inherently worthy regardless of the opinions or approval of others. You don't need someone else to tell you that you are valuable because you already know it within yourself. But this shift from seeking external validation to embracing self-love isn't always easy. It requires unlearning many of the patterns that society has instilled in us. It requires breaking free from the belief that we must prove ourselves to others, that our worth is tied to what others think of us. It requires looking in the mirror and truly accepting ourselves, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It means giving ourselves permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to fail without feeling like our entire identity is at risk. The danger of relying too much on external validation is that it often leads to a cycle of dependence. We constantly seek approval only to find that it's never enough. The moment we receive praise or recognition, it feels satisfying, but that satisfaction is often short-lived. We soon find ourselves chasing the next compliment, the next affirmation, always hoping that someone else will fill that empty space within us. This cycle can leave us feeling empty, unfulfilled, and disconnected from our true selves. It's a never-ending quest for approval that can never truly be satisfied, because no matter how much validation we get, it's never going to be enough to fill the void unless we cultivate self-love. In contrast, when we prioritize self-love, we begin to free ourselves from the need for constant approval. We start to set our own standards for what makes us feel proud, accomplished, and worthy. Instead of waiting for others to recognize our worth, we celebrate ourselves, our achievements, our uniqueness, and our growth. We start to acknowledge our own strengths and talents, even when no one else is watching. This internal validation is far more powerful and sustainable than anything we can get from the outside world. When we love ourselves first, we stop seeking validation as a way to feel whole, and instead, we become whole within ourselves. The beauty of self-love is that it's not contingent on anyone else's approval. It doesn't matter if someone disagrees with you, criticizes you, or doesn't see your worth. You've already established a deep sense of respect and love for yourself, and that's what matters. This doesn't mean that you won't value feedback or constructive criticism from others. It simply means that you no longer depend on those things to define your worth. You are your own source of validation, and that is incredibly empowering. In a world that often places more emphasis on external success, appearance, and approval, practicing self-love is a revolutionary act. It means choosing yourself, your happiness, your peace, and your growth over seeking validation from others. It means understanding that you are enough, just as you are, and that you don't need anyone's approval to be worthy of love, success, or joy. When we make self-love our priority, we stop measuring ourselves by someone else's standards and start living according to our own. We begin to create a life that is fulfilling and authentic, not based on the shifting tides of external opinions, but grounded in the unwavering belief in our own worth. Relationships are often thought of as fixed entities. Many people enter relationships with the hope that they will remain constant, that the dynamic between two people will stay the same, and that everything will work out as it did at the start. However, this idea that relationships should be static is a misconception. Just like people, relationships evolve, grow, and change over time. What makes a relationship truly powerful isn't its ability to stay the same, but rather its ability to adapt and evolve as both individuals grow and transform. When we think of a healthy relationship, it's easy to imagine a fairy tale-like scenario in which two people fall in love and live happily ever after, never facing any significant challenges. However, this is far from the reality of most relationships. People change, their priorities shift, their interests evolve, and their life circumstances constantly alter the ways in which they relate to each other. This doesn't mean that a relationship is doomed to fail when change enters the picture. Instead, it presents an opportunity for both people to navigate that change together, creating an even deeper bond in the process. One of the most significant aspects of growth within a relationship is learning to accept and celebrate each other's evolution. Over time, however, each person will inevitably grow in different ways. One person may experience a career shift, develop new hobbies, or find a new passion that they want to pursue. The other person might undergo personal growth, discovering new strengths or values that shape the way they view the world. In these moments of growth, a relationship can either stagnate if both individuals resist change, or it can thrive if both are open to supporting each other's individual journeys. This evolution is not always easy. Growth can be uncomfortable, especially when it means that the person you are with is no longer the person they were when you first met. But this is where the beauty of relationships lies, the ability to navigate these shifts together. Rather than seeing growth as a threat or a sign that the relationship is falling apart, it's important to understand that growth is an essential part of any strong partnership. Just as each person is allowed to grow individually, they must also learn to adapt to each other's growth. This requires patience, communication, and the willingness to let go of the old versions of each other that no longer serve the relationship. A relationship that evolves with the people within it is one that can withstand the tests of time. When both individuals continue to support each other's growth, the relationship becomes a place of mutual respect where both people feel encouraged to be their authentic selves. This mutual growth creates a deeper sense of connection and understanding because both individuals are not only committed to the relationship but to each other's personal development as well. Growth within a relationship doesn't just involve one person changing, but rather both people evolving in ways that contribute to a stronger and more resilient partnership. It's important to acknowledge that growth doesn't always happen in predictable or linear ways. There will be times when growth happens rapidly and other times when it's slower. There will be moments when one person is ready to take on new challenges while the other may be hesitant or unsure. In these moments, it's vital for both people to communicate openly and honestly about their needs, desires, and fears. Listening to each other, offering support, and being patient are all essential components of navigating growth together. In the process of growth and evolution, relationships also have to learn how to weather difficult times. People change, and with change often comes conflict. When each person evolves, it's natural for differences to arise. This is not a sign that the relationship is failing, but rather that both individuals are learning new things about themselves and the world around them. The key to navigating these moments is flexibility, the ability to adapt and adjust to the new circumstances while maintaining the foundation of love, respect, and trust. True growth in relationships also involves learning to let go. People change, and sometimes those changes lead them down different paths. Sometimes the evolution of one or both individuals means that the relationship no longer serves either person in the way it once did. This is a natural part of the growth process, and while it can be painful, it's important to recognize that not all relationships are meant to last forever. The beauty of relationships lies in the ability to evolve together, and when that's no longer possible, letting go can be a sign of growth in itself. In essence, relationships are not about maintaining the same dynamic forever, but about growing together, supporting each other through transitions, and evolving into better versions of yourselves, both as individuals and as partners. The most meaningful relationships are those in which both people can change, grow, and adapt without fear of losing each other. It's in this space of mutual growth that the deepest connections are formed, as both individuals continue to honor each other's journey, fostering a relationship that is resilient, dynamic, and deeply fulfilling. Betrayal is one of the most painful experiences we can endure in life. It shakes our trust, leaves us feeling vulnerable, and often makes us question our own judgment. When someone we love or care for betrays us, whether it's in a personal relationship, business, or any other area of life, the immediate reaction is often one of shock, anger, and profound sadness. In those moments, it's easy to view betrayal as a loss, something that has taken something valuable away from us, our trust, our peace of mind, or even our sense of security. But what if we could shift the way we look at betrayal? What if instead of seeing it solely as a loss, we began to see it as a lesson, a powerful teacher that offers us an opportunity to grow and evolve? Betrayal can be a mirror that reflects not only the actions of others, but also the depths of our own emotional landscape. It often reveals the places where we might have been too trusting, too dependent, or even too blind to the flaws and inconsistencies in a relationship or situation. While this revelation can be painful, it also offers us an invaluable chance to reflect on our own vulnerabilities and our boundaries. Instead of blaming ourselves or letting the experience consume us with feelings of regret, we can use betrayal as a stepping stone to greater self-awareness. It can teach us about the areas in which we might need to build stronger boundaries, better communication, and more discernment in choosing who to trust. One of the most transformative aspects of betrayal is how it forces us to confront our own emotions. Betrayal brings up deep-seated feelings of hurt, anger, and disappointment, and these emotions can feel overwhelming in the immediate aftermath. However, rather than letting these emotions dictate our actions or cloud our judgment, we have the choice to lean into them with a sense of curiosity. What is this pain trying to teach us? What does it reveal about our attachment to expectations, control, or attachment itself? By examining these emotions, we can uncover deeper truths about ourselves, our needs, and our patterns of behavior in relationships. Betrayal then becomes a vehicle for personal growth, a chance to examine the emotional triggers and belief systems that were at play so we can heal and make better choices moving forward. Another lesson that betrayal offers is the opportunity to reassess who we are and what we value. When someone betrays us, it often leads to a reevaluation of the relationship or situation we were in. What did we value about it? Was it genuine? Did we overlook red flags because we were too emotionally invested or attached to an idea of what the relationship should be? Betrayal forces us to question these things. It can push us to redefine what is important in our lives, whether it's trust, loyalty, respect, or some other value that has been violated. Rather than mourning what was lost, we can use betrayal to gain clarity about what we truly want, deserve, and expect from future interactions and relationships. It sharpens our understanding of our own non-negotiables and helps us set healthier, clearer boundaries moving forward. While betrayal may feel like the end of something, it can also be a new beginning. When a relationship or trust is broken, we are often left with the task of rebuilding. It's easy to feel as if the betrayal has left a permanent scar, but with time we can rebuild our emotional resilience. Betrayal teaches us the importance of not giving away our power, not allowing another person's actions to define us. It pushes us to take responsibility for our own healing, to nurture ourselves, and to rebuild our sense of worth and trust. this time on our terms. We are no longer reliant on the approval or actions of others to feel whole, but we learn to trust in our own ability to overcome challenges and emerge stronger. Betrayal can act as a catalyst for redefining the relationships we have with others. It allows us to see which people in our lives are truly supportive and which ones may have been holding us back or enabling toxic patterns. Sometimes betrayal forces us to let go of relationships that no longer serve us. It's difficult, but often necessary. By letting go of these toxic connections, we make room for healthier, more genuine relationships to enter our lives. The people who truly honor us and respect our boundaries will rise to the occasion, proving that not all relationships are meant to last. But the ones that are built on mutual respect, understanding, and trust can survive and thrive even after moments of hardship. Perhaps one of the most profound lessons of betrayal is the strength and resilience we develop through the process of healing. It may feel as though something has been ripped away from us, but in the aftermath, we often find that what remains is the person we are becoming, the person who has learned, grown, and transformed in the face of adversity. The betrayal itself may have shaken us to the core, but what we do with that pain and how we move forward is what defines us. It teaches us that we are capable of healing, of moving on, and of trusting again, not out of naivety, but with greater wisdom and discernment. Instead of viewing betrayal as a devastating loss, we can begin to see it as a powerful teacher. It's an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, to refine our understanding of what we need from others, and to build stronger emotional foundations. It helps us shed illusions, embrace new perspectives, and ultimately become more resilient, self-aware individuals who can weather life's challenges with grace. Ultimately, betrayal is not the end of the story, but rather a pivotal chapter that can open the door to new possibilities and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Defining your own standards is one of the most empowering actions you can take in life. It is a process of stepping away from the noise of societal expectations, external pressures, and the influence of others, and instead setting a personal code of conduct that aligns with your values, your desires, and your understanding of who you truly are. Too often, people find themselves trying to live up to the standards set by the people around them, be it their family, their friends, their partners, or even society at large. They shape their behavior, their choices, and their self-worth based on what others deem important or acceptable. This can lead to a life that feels unfulfilling, disconnected, and at times even inauthentic. Defining your own standards means taking full ownership of your life, your choices, and your personal growth. The first step in defining your own standards is understanding your core values. These are the fundamental beliefs and principles that guide your actions, decisions, and interactions. They are the internal compass that helps you navigate life, even when faced with challenges or uncertainty. Identifying your values gives you a solid foundation on which to build your standards. For example, if honesty is one of your core values, you may set a standard for yourself to always be truthful, even when it's difficult. If personal growth is important to you, you may set a standard to continually seek knowledge and challenge yourself in various aspects of life. Knowing what truly matters to you allows you to build a life that is aligned with your authentic self. Once you have a clear understanding of your core values, the next step is to reflect on the behaviors and actions that align with those values. This means determining what kind of person you want to be in the world, regardless of what others may expect from you. It's about setting standards that serve your own growth and well-being rather than trying to meet someone else's idea of success or happiness. For instance, if you value kindness, you might set a standard for yourself to treat everyone you encounter with respect, compassion, and understanding, regardless of how they treat you. If personal integrity is important to you, you might set a standard to always honor your commitments and follow through on your promises, no matter how inconvenient it may be. These are the behaviors that reflect your values, and they are the standards that will guide your actions. Defining your own standards also means recognizing your worth and not allowing others to dictate how you should be treated. Too often, people accept less than they deserve because they haven't set clear boundaries or expectations for themselves. When you define your own standards, you take control of how you allow others to treat you. For example, if respect is one of your core values, you may set a standard to only engage with people who respect you and your time. If loyalty is important to you, you may set a standard that demands loyalty in your relationships and walks away from situations where that loyalty is compromised. When you clearly define these standards, you empower yourself to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't align with your vision of what you deserve. Another critical aspect of defining your own standards is learning to prioritize your well-being. Madame, it's easy to get caught up in the demands of others and put yourself last on the list. But by setting your own standards, you send a message to yourself and the world that your health, both mental and physical, is a top priority. This could mean setting boundaries around your time, saying no to commitments that drain you, or dedicating time to self-care without guilt. It may also mean choosing relationships that nourish and support you rather than those that leave you feeling depleted or undervalued. When you define standards that prioritize your well-being, you are not only ensuring your own happiness, but also creating the space to show up as your best self in every area of your life. Defining your own standards also encourages personal accountability. When you take ownership of the standards you set, you are also taking responsibility for the decisions you make and the outcomes that result from them. It's easy to blame external circumstances or other people when things don't go according to plan. But when you have clear standards, you can more easily assess whether your choices are aligned with your values. For example, if you set a standard to maintain a healthy lifestyle but find yourself regularly skipping workouts or eating poorly, you can take responsibility for those choices and make adjustments to get back on track. Personal accountability allows you to grow and improve by holding yourself to the standards you've defined for yourself without relying on anyone else to enforce them. In addition, defining your own standards means embracing your uniqueness and not comparing yourself to others. In a world that often encourages comparison, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your success or happiness against someone else's. However, when you define your own standards, you reject the idea that someone else's path is the only one that matters. You realize that your journey is your own, and your standards are a reflection of who you are, not who anyone else thinks you should be. This mindset shift allows you to focus on your own growth and celebrate your own accomplishments rather than constantly measuring yourself against external benchmarks. It fosters a sense of confidence and self-assurance that comes from knowing you are walking your own path according to your own rules. Defining your own standards is about embracing flexibility. While it's important to set standards for your life, it's also essential to recognize that life is constantly changing, and sometimes those standards need to evolve as well. As you grow and encounter new experiences, your values, priorities, and goals may shift. Defining your standards doesn't mean rigidly adhering to the same rules forever. It means regularly checking in with yourself and adjusting your standards to ensure they still reflect who you are and what you want out of life. Flexibility allows you to adapt to life's changes while maintaining a strong sense of purpose and direction. Defining your own standards is an act of self-respect and empowerment. It allows you to create a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and aligned with your deepest values. When you set clear standards for yourself, you become the author of your own story, taking control of your journey and deciding what is truly important to you. You stop seeking approval from others and start living in alignment with your own truth.